Hello, and welcome back for part 3 of our series discussing love in Christmas. My name's Lewis. Thank you for joining. Uh, Hope you've had a great couple days. Hopefully, the videos have been a little bit of an encouragement to you. Like I said, not yesterday, last video, the goal is to keep these short and just give you some small thoughts, little things to help you try to, I don't know, be better prepared for Christmas. I guess is the best way I can say it. I feel like there's a lot of discouragement out there, and my goal is to, if I can help it, try to help people not be discouraged. So hopefully, this little, not even a deep dive, it's like wading across the water of 1 Corinthians 13, hopefully is an encouragement to you. The first video, we discussed the first 3 verses and why is it important to have love. Last time we talked about charity suffering long and is kind. We're going to cover a couple other extra things. Same verse 4 of 1 Corinthians 13. It says, charity envieth not, charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up. So when you think about the idea, charity envieth not. I think around Christmas time when you start planning gifts, I know as a parent, you want your children to be able to enjoy the holiday and be able to remember the Christ in Christmas, but you also want them to have a good day. I was even telling my kids last night that I want them to enjoy Christmas but not forget what the true reason we celebrate Christmas. But what was interesting was I remember one of my children goes, "Man, I remember this thing that happened for one of the other kids. Do you know if that'll happen for me?" And I said, I don't know if it will. We'll have to wait and see." But it got me thinking, how often do we maybe not enjoy the holiday because we start wondering what other people have and we get maybe jealous, or as the phrase says, envy. We have that towards our siblings, towards our friends. We're upset that they're getting something nice or that we're not getting it. However you want to look at it. But it's envy. It can affect how you give gifts, or if you give gifts, it can impact the way you react to people. Maybe you have a worse Christmas because, man, they got something nice and I didn't. I mean, it screams of selfishness because of envy. I read a commentary where it talked about, how big is envy, and it mentioned that Cain killed Abel because of envy, and envy was what got Joseph sold by his brothers, and even referenced Jesus himself being a victim of envy. This Christmas, are you gonna be envious, or are you gonna realize I should be grateful? My pastor even yesterday preached and talked about that the Christian, even in the worst of circumstances, still has a hope of not a hope. It has the hope of heaven. It's that there's something that's going to come their way, so they should be excited about that. So, charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself. It's not braggy. We mentioned the idea in the first video that if I were to give all that I have, even to the idea of giving my body to be burned, but it's not filled with charity, it means nothing. It has no value. It profits me nothing. Well, charity vaunteth not itself. At times you may be showing love to somebody, and it may take a lot of sacrifice on your part, and you feel like you don't get credit for it. That's okay. True love doesn't care about the credit. When I started at my current workplace, I started off in a very frontline kind of customer service position. And within about a year and a half, almost 2 years, I got moved to an escalation point. And I remember getting the calls from those for entry level employees, the new ones, or even some not new ones. And they would call, and I remember one of the philosophies I tried to take on was when they said, you know, oh man, thank you, you've been so helpful. Let me let the member, let me let my customer know this member I'm dealing with. And I would tell them, I go, okay, take the credit though. They're like, but you did the work. I'm like, no, you called and reached out. And if you didn't reach out, then you wouldn't have had the answer. So you did the work. Because ultimately, the way that the person would look, the way that the customer would look, is they'd look at the company solving their problem, not Lewis solving the problem, or even, you know, frontline employee solving the problem. It would be my company solved the problem. Now, granted, that's a business mindset, but in in the Christian mindset, there's going to be times people aren't appreciative for what you do, and you won't get the credit. But it's not your job to be puffed up, because then you're not doing it out of love. You're doing it out of a duty or a desire to be recognized. And look, I'm not saying that judgmentally. Telling you what does the Bible say. Because look, I would be the same way. I'd want recognition if I spent time doing something and helping somebody to get some gift. There's that part of you that wants recognition, but ultimately, God will provide it, and I just trust that He will, and I have to trust that He will. And so, when it says, when it says, charity vaunteth not itself, it doesn't sit there and say, look at me, look at what I do. And it goes along with the next verse, or the next part, is not puffed up. You're not arrogant. You know, when we sit there and we talk of love, you notice how we're these four parts or five parts, if you want to call it: suffering long, kind, envying not, not vaunting itself, not puffed up. There's a lot of self in all of these things. The idea of what about me? It's the idea of the culture today is what about me? What do I get out of it? What do I earn out of it? And when we have that philosophy, there's no charity in there. It's just not. See, as a Christian, we believe that God gives and takes care of our needs, but we also believe He gives us opportunities to help others. And that's not a thing you hear about today. I'm not saying it's not present anywhere. I don't want to sound that oblivious to things. I know that there are good people out there doing great things, giving of their time, giving of their money, giving of the talents that they have. It's not that nobody is doing it. It's just that the dominant philosophy today is one of me, myself. What about me? What do I get out of it? And that's not how we're supposed to show charity. And when we stop looking at ourselves, we stop looking for what am I going to get out of this, it's amazing the impact it'll have. Is it always going to be easy? No, it won't be. But if it was easy, you probably wouldn't have had to remind this church, hey guys, you're forgetting some basic simple things. You probably wouldn't have had to remind them. You would have to say, hey, stop being selfish. Stop being about yourself. If you're labeled as a Christian, you know what you're supposed to be doing to help each other out. You know what you're supposed to be doing to teach others and to show others how you're supposed to be. How are you planning to celebrate Christmas this year? Is it a lot of me, me, me? If it is, it's probably why you're not enjoying the holiday. holiday time just because you're worried about how all of this is impacting you. And by the way, I'm not saying that you can't have an impact, and I'm not saying you have to smile because maybe you have some bad memories of the Christmas season. But what are those memories based on? Is it a lot of me? What about me? Poor me? Is it because you're not long suffering? It's because you're struggling with kindness. It's because you're envying. Why do I have to have it so hard? Why do I not get the things I want? Why do I not get the praise, the recognition? Why don't I get the gifts or whatever? Do you feel like you don't get the credit? Do you feel like, man, look at all the good I've done. Look at all the great I've done. It is true you can be frustrated to not get recognized, but it shouldn't be the primary reason to celebrate the holiday. Anyway, it's the thought for today. A lot of this focus is how are you acting towards others, or are you focused on yourself? The next part we'll go over will be verse number 5. Doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, not easily provoked, thinketh no evil. We probably won't do all 4 of those in one shot, but who knows? We'll see how it goes. Until next time, have a great day.